Hi everyone, Shabbat Shalom. It's Rabbi Lori Matskin here with just a thought for you and a little embodied practice to go into Shabbat, to go into the weekend. Um, we are starting a new book in the Jewish tradition, in the Jewish community, a new book of the Torah, the book of Leviticus, in Hebrew, Vayikra. And as I was looking at this Torah portion, which is a bit bloody, to say the least, on a surface look, I really was struck by this theme of realizing our guilt. If you want to look with me, I'll read you the English of Leviticus Vayikra chapter 4, verses 13 and 14. So the Torah says, if it is the whole community of Israel that has erred, and the matter escapes the notice of the congregation, so that they do any of the things by which God's commandments, God's mitzvot, ought not to be done. When the sin through which they incurred guilt becomes known, the congregation shall offer a bull of the herd as a chatat, as a sin offering. So a few things strike me about this passage, these two lines. We are part of a community. We are all part of the systems, the global systems that not only allow for wonderful information sharing, but also virus sharing, problem sharing, and hopefully solution sharing too. But some of these systems that we're part of, they escape our notice, as verse 13 says. We don't really realize how much we take teachers for granted, these amazing teachers who are working so hard to be with our children and educate them every day. Shout out to all the teachers. And we are just asking for Amazon and all these packages to be delivered every day. We're expecting food from all over the world to show up in pristine conditions in our markets, etc. So we're really just part of all these systems, and we don't necessarily think about on a daily basis how we have erred as well. Wow, our expectations have gotten out of control. But this parsha teaches us that when we realize that, we have a mechanism, we have a ritual that the priests, the ancient priests, can enact to allow our sin to be forgiven. And of course, I'm very glad to be a rabbi and not a priest in the ancient sense. I don't have to deal with yucky animal parts on an altar. But it is pretty amazing to think about the transformation of these animals from a bull to this bloody ritual, dissolving all the way up into smoke and just being released away and creating a feeling of forgiveness within us, so that we can then, at the end of the Torah portion, we can enter the tent of meeting, the Ohel Moed. So I think that when we realize our guilt, our complicity, our role in the global reality, there can be some grief, some fear, even some anger to see how each sin plays a part or not. We are, hi Dad, whether or not we are officially in a leadership capacity or not, we are all leaders. Somehow we are all influencers somehow. So I want to offer you the chance to connect with your heart and give some compassion for yourself, for those imperfections, for those sins, if you will, that we didn't even realize we were doing. As we step back during this quarantine time, this corona time, and we look at how our earth and how our communities have worked and relied on each other, we can maybe think about different choices going forward. I know I had a moment when I went to Safeway the other day to stock up on our supplies, and a few hours later when I came home, I had a complete meltdown and panic attack that I didn't clean everything as perfectly as I could have, even though I did a really good job to the best of my ability in that moment. And I had a moment of, oh my gosh, I'm bringing coronavirus into our house. This is terrible. Guilt, 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 guilt. But to just release that and to acknowledge that it comes from a place of fear, of grief, of anxiety, of wanting to have some kind of control and knowing that we don't. So in our embodied practice this Shabbat, I'm going to invite you to find a way to open your heart, your lungs, your chest cavity, finding a deeper breath, and just seeing what feelings come up for you. If we can be with our own heart experience and open it. And instead of transmission, think about transformation. We can begin to release up into smoke that which is not serving us, the anxiety, the fear, the grief, the anger, the unknown, and just let it go and do what we can to support our own and our families and our community's hearts. So I'll invite you sometime this Shabbat to find a blanket or a pillow and to find it behind your back, underneath your armpits, right? So you're draping over it with your head on the floor. You can support your head on the way down. And just feel a sense of opening up, sense of releasing and giving more room for the breath, more room for the lungs, the ribs, and then the heart physically and metaphorically in the middle of that. You might do some poses where you bring your arms out to the side in warrior poses, maybe some reverse angles coming up and over your head, maybe some shoulder rolls, maybe you're sitting with your arms over your head. Just anything you can do to expand through your center, expand from the heart and lungs out, deepening the breath, maybe bringing a hand to the heart, a hand to the belly at some point and syncing up those breaths. Whatever you can do to just tap into a compassionate heart, giving yourself forgiveness. We don't need ancient priests. We're able to be the priest for ourselves, transforming instead of transmitting. Our realization of our little roles, or maybe our big roles, and making a new decision to act with compassion towards ourselves and find our own role in this global system in a maybe more scaled back, compassionate way for all who are trying to serve. Breathing from the heart this Shabbat. I'll sing you the final piece of Shalom Aleichem. Seitchem l'shalom, malachei hasharet. May you go out into your weekend with a sense of shalom. All of us are angels working to create solutions and compassion for each other. Seitchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mihi melech, malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shabbat Shalom. You can tune in with me sometime tomorrow evening in the dark for a Havdalah practice.